I'm just going to welcome you all here. And here is our Dean, Lisa German. One of the 5 Lisas in the University Library. Welcome, everyone. It's so good to see you all here. My name is Lisa German, and I'm the University Librarian and Dean of Libraries. And it's my absolute delight to welcome you all here as we celebrate the 50th Annual Kerlan Award. As I do, I'd like to acknowledge the peoples upon whose land we meet. We're on the traditional homelands of the Dakota people. It's important to acknowledge the peoples on whose land we live, learn, and work as we seek to improve and strengthen our relations with our tribal nations. We also acknowledge that words are not enough. We must ensure that our institution provides support, resources, and programs that increase aspects to all of higher education for American Indian students, staff, faculty, and communities. I want to just digress a minute from my remarks. As we're entering this season, I would just like to say, express some gratitude, and I'll express it later in my talk. But I'd like to express gratitude to the Marankers for their support of Lisa and their willingness to entrust us. And so thank you very much to both of you. I thank all. I have a lot of gratitude for the friends of the Kerlan, the friends of the Sherlock, the friends of the Anderson Horticultural Library, all of whom are here tonight and are spending time with us. I'd like to express gratitude for our staff here. The folks here in Special Collections and beyond are like no other I've ever worked with. They are deeply, deeply passionate about the collections that they work with, the people who they serve, and it's no more is that exemplified in Lisa Bunder's. And finally, I just take a little moment to say, one of the things that I think is really important and that I try to do is to have some grace. Have grace with each other, have grace with our colleagues, have grace with the university, and grace in the world. It's something that seems to be underrated, but it's something that's really important. I'm done digressing now. Anytime you have celebrate a 50th anniversary, and I'm sure some of you have experienced 50th anniversaries before too, it's a wonderful achievement. To be marking 50 years of recognizing excellence in children's literature, that is truly remarkable. The Kerlan collection of children's literature stands at the forefront of children's literature archives worldwide. It's an internationally recognized children's literature library and archive, which holds more than 100,000 children's books, original manuscripts, correspondence, artwork, and other materials. It's open to the public and is a rich resource for researchers, educators, family, and all who love children's literature. Instilling that love, a love of reading and books at a young age, is vital to a child's development. It shapes their opportunities in the way they see the world. Children's books engage young minds, and they help children find themselves and find their own voices. That's what the Kerlan collection does, and that's what we must protect. Some of you may know that in my academic work, I've studied book bans, and I can tell you that the freedom to read is one of our most precious gifts. Tonight, we celebrate a 5 decades-long tradition of honoring those who are creating work which inspires children and all of us to become lifelong learners, to explore the world with curiosity and openness. We live in a world where that's increasingly in short supply. So let's honor this legacy tonight and take steps to ensure that it continues for our children's grandchildren. For 50 years, the Kerlan Award has recognized those who achieve singular attainments in the creation of children's literature. Tonight's honoree, Jim McMullan, joins an exceptional list of recipients, and in just a moment, I'll invite Lisa Von Drasek, the Maranker Family Curatorial Chair of the Kerlan Collection of Children's Literature, to introduce them. But before I go, I want to thank a few people. I want to thank all of our staff whose hard work put this beautiful event together. I want to thank Kathy, who's here with us this evening. Kathy Maranker and her husband Glenn endowed the Maranker Family Curatorial Chair of the Kerlan Collection of Children's Literature. Endowing a curatorial chair provides financial stability and fosters specialized expertise. It is vital when ensuring a collection's long-term growth and preservation. And Kathy, we can't thank you enough for your commitment and your partnership. Today, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. In our fast-paced and sometimes ruthless world, it's such a joy to be with you, celebrating our love and appreciation for books that speak to the youngest, the most innocent, and the most important among us. Now I'd like to welcome Lisa Von Drasek, the Maranker Family Curatorial Chair of the Kerlan Collection of Children's Literature. I have to take a breath before I say that, to the podium. Thank you all.
Hi. Never get tired of saying, I'm Lisa Von Drasek, the Maranker Family Curatorial Chair of Children's Literature. I'm actually not the person who's introducing our special guest today. We will leave that to one of our special Kerlan friends who served on the committee who selected our winners this year. But I cannot let this moment go by without letting you know that I have known Kate McMullan since 1991, when I got fired from my job in children's book publishing because I was really bad at it. I admit it, I've made my amends to my former supervisor, but still, I was really bad at it. And I took a class called Congratulations, You've Been Fired. And in that class, the woman who ran the class was the sister of the author of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. And that author started her career taking a class at NYU called Writing Children's Books. So, of course, I thought I should take a class called Writing Children's Books. I'm not sure that was the exact title, but it was something like that. And who was the teacher? Kate McMullan, whose work I knew as a reader of children's books. And what I discovered in that class was that I was not a writer of children's books. I was a reader. And what better job could a reader of children's books have than to be a children's librarian? And we fast forward almost 20 years in the future, not now, this is 30 years in the future, 20 years in the future, and I'm in a cab going up the west side of Manhattan, and I need to talk to somebody, anybody, I need to talk to somebody, And it can't be someone I know really well, and it can't be someone I work with, and it can't be someone who's a children's librarian. And I randomly call Kate McMullan. And I say, there's a job in Minnesota. Am I nuts to go and apply for this job in Minnesota as a children's librarian? And on the phone, going up the west side of Manhattan, Kate McMullan says these very wise words. I always believed in third acts. So thank you, Kate.
My pleasure.
For living in Minnesota. And with that, I will introduce Lauren Thomas, who is, come walk. You can walk and I can talk. Who is so precious to us because she came to us as an intern and grew up in the Kerlan collection. Wouldn't you say?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
good. There we go. Lauren.
A member of the Kerlan Award Committee, a board member of the Kerlan Friends, and I also work as an archival assistant with the amazing team here at Kerlan. So this moment being here with all of you to present the 50th Kerlan Award to Jim McMullan is especially meaningful to me. I'm so grateful to be here. Each year, the Kerlan Award Committee begins its work by reviewing significant contributions to the Kerlan collection, one of the largest and most important archives of original art, manuscripts, sketches, process art, and correspondence in the field of children's literature. What many people may not realize is just how much of this collection is here because the creators choose to give their work. They donate it, they entrust it. They believe in the teaching and the learning that can only happen when we preserve the process of creativity and not just the finished product. So why would renowned artists like Jim McMullan, whose original artwork could be sold for thousands and thousands of dollars, choose to commit his life's work to the University of Minnesota and to our collection? Well, because Jim understands that archives are alive. He understands the value of future illustrators and authors learning not only what was created, but how it was created. Jim's work spans many worlds. His theater posters have shaped the visual identity of New York City itself. If you walked through Times Square or waited for the subway, you have likely seen his vivid, expressive posters. Anything Goes, Carousel, South Pacific, The King and I, My Fair Lady. In Vanity Fair, Mark Rosso once wrote, "He is to modern day New York what Toulouse-Lautrec was to 19th century Paris." And that comparison gives us an idea not only of his artistic brilliance, but of his influence. We recognize Jim's accomplishment in editorial art, his teaching at the School of Visual Arts, and his early work at Pushpin Studios. But today, we are here to celebrate something especially close to our hearts, Jim McMullan's work in children's literature. Jim's story begins far from here. Born in China, he spent his childhood moving during World War II, including boarding school in India, before eventually coming to the United States. His memoir, Leaving China, An Artist Paints His World War II Childhood, pairs text with vivid watercolor paintings to capture dreamlike, formative experiences that has shaped his art and his storytelling. After art school, military service, and studies at Pratt, he built a distinguishing career in design and theater art. In 1979, Jim married children's book writer Kate Hall. A year later, their daughter was born and a new chapter of creativity began. Together, Jim and Kate brought humor and heart into the world of children's books. Their first collaboration, The Noisy Giant's Tea Party, published in 1992, was drawn from the chaotic world of family life. Their breakthrough came with I Stink, the totally unforgettable voice of a New York City garbage truck. The book won the Irma Simonton Black Award and became the foundation of beloved series, including I'm Dirty, I'm Brave, I'm Mighty, and my favorite, I'm Cool, and has been the inspiration for the animated preschool series from Amazon. These books are joyful, energetic, and visually bold. But even more importantly, they speak to children exactly where they are. They take the everyday world of trucks and machines and construction sites and invite kids to shout, imagine, and play, and see personally and story in everything around them. Jim's artwork doesn't just illustrate the text, but it brings it to life. His brushstrokes convey movement, humor, soul, inviting children fully into the story. His work honors imagination, celebrating their energy, curiosity, and the joy of childhood. And today, we also honor Jim's generosity. His donation of original art, sketches, dummies, manuscripts, and correspondence from 20 children's books ensures that scholars, educators, artists, and young readers will be able to learn from his creative process for generations to come. For his lasting contributions to children's literature and for the extraordinary gift of his work to the Kerlan collection, we are deeply, deeply honored to present Jim McMullan with the 50th Kerlan Award. Jim, please.
Hi. How much for the? Okay.
Okay.
Hi. After such incredible introductions from Lisa and then from Laura, I'm not quite sure what to say, but let me try to say a few words about um, what I feel. First of all, as has been pointed out many, many times, the Kerlan collection is unique in a way that it not only archives the books themselves and the final art, but they archive the sketches, which gives us such an insight into the journey that writers and artists take in order to get to those final wonderful pictures that are in the final book, And so I am, I, I've done two books on my posters, and I show a lot of sketches, tell all the bad stories about my arguments with people along the way. And I feel that those journeys are so important to understanding creativity. And so the Kerlan collection is unique in that. It's an extraordinary um, and wonderful institution. And I'm so honored to have this Kerlan honor tonight. Um, but I'm going to tell you about someone who is very extraordinary and incredibly important to me. Someone who managed to overcome my basic depressive personality and teach me to laugh and teach me to do funny pictures. A wonderful writer named Kate McMullan. I did two children before I did the books with Kate, and they're both very mediocre. And it wasn't until the wit of Kate's writing that I found my own wit and began to be able to make drawings that were infused with that kind of engaging humor. She, the, the voice of the garbage truck in I Stink was exactly what I needed to see what my version of that garbage truck was, and to see the grinning eyes and the angry mouth that made that book, have a certain kind of energy. Tonight, I'm going to read and discuss the sketches on two books, I Stink and Papa Star. But before I start the reading on I Stink, I'd like to invite Kate to tell the extraordinary story of why she wrote that book. So, Kate, would you do that?
I would do that. It's a story of desperation. I was in a writing group with two other children's book writers. I was trying to get myself out of writing real books to actual picture books. And I was having trouble writing anything for an upcoming meeting. So one night, I was sleepless, sort of, and a garbage truck parked under our window and made all this noise. And I felt I might never get to sleep. But I did finally. And so I thought, well, at least it won't happen again. And it did for the next night. And then when it happened the third night, I threw on my clothes. I never write anything like this. I threw on my clothes and I went down the elevator and I came out into a street light shining on the back of a garbage truck parked on the side street, 26th Street, I think it was. And I could see that in the back of the garbage truck, there was an old couch, and the garbage truck was slowly and loudly crunching up that couch. And I said, I'm not mad anymore. Maybe I can make a story out of the garbage truck. So I started waiting for the garbage truck in the wee hours of the morning. I sat on this little red pipe that stuck out from our building, and I waited for them to come. And then I took notes about what the garbage guys were doing and what buttons they pressed. And all of a sudden I was writing in my notebook and I felt a shadow come over me. And it was one of the sanitation workers. And he said, are you from central office? Are you reporting on us? No, I said, I'm trying to write a children's book about a garbage truck, but I don't know how it works. He says, why didn't you ask us? I said, okay, tell me how it works. And that was Billy and Earl were the garbage guys, and we came to love them. And they explained to me the parts of the garbage truck and everything. I was so excited. That day I read that and I said, Jim, you want to do a picture book about a garbage truck? And I begged. And finally Jim came down. And well, you'll see when the visual pops up. But Jim came down and he saw a face in the windows of the garbage truck, and the bumper had rivets that seal it to the truck itself, and it looked like stubble. And he had a character. By the time he went upstairs, he had the character of the garbage truck. So that is the origin story of I Stink. And Billy and Earl used to come to book signings with us. Great. And one said, afterwards, why did you become the sanitation worker? He said, for the money. You, Jim.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We're going to go to I Stink. And I'm going to try to read it. This is the cover. This is the title page. This is the dedication page where Earl and Billy get an accolade. Who am I? I've got 10 lights. I've got lights, 10 wide tires. No AC, not me. I got doubles, steering wheels, gas pedals, brakes. I am totally dual lock. Know what I do at night while you're asleep? Eat your trash. That's what. See that? See that? See those bags? I smell breakfast. Crew, get me to the curb. Lights blink, brakes squeal. Tailgate say, ah. Feed me straight into my upper. Nice toss, guys. Stop. Hopper's full. Hit the throttle. Give me some gas. Rev me to the max. Roar. Engine roar. Did I wake you out a little? Just a little? Figure here. This tape being woken up and angry. I don't show the anger part well enough. Pistons, bring on the crusher. Better I say. Bring on the crusher blade. Blade, push back the bags, squeeze them, crush them, mash them, smash them. Whoa, those bags are way compacted. Whoa. He always complains I don't know how to do the boat. Now I have room for alphabet soup. Get a load of my recipe. Apple cores, banana peels, candy wrappers, dirty diapers, eggshells, fish heads, gobs and gobs of gum, half-eaten hot dogs, icky ice cream cartons, jam jars, kitty litter, lobster claws, moldy meatballs, nasty neckties, orange peels, puppy poo, quail bones too, rotten radishes, smelly sneakers, toothpaste tubes, ugly underpants, vacuum bags, watermelon rinds, XL t-shirts, year-old yams, zipped up ziti with zucchini. Thank you very much. What's that? You think I stink? Oh, do I ever. No skunk ever stunk this bad. But think about it. Without me, you're on you're on Mount Trashorama, baby. Next stop, the river. Lights flash. Reverse. Get me to the barge. Hear me blast my backup rack. Beep, beep, hey. Beep, beep, out of my way. Ready crew action. Pins out. Power takeoff switch. Hit it. Tailgate. Separate. Up. Tailgate sweeper. Eject. Plop. I'm empty. I'm beat. You're just waking up now. But I need some Z's. Take me to the garage, guys, crew. Hose me down and gas me up. See you tomorrow night, guys. Who am I? The garbage truck. That's who. The end. So, the sketches in a way explain themselves. I mean, you can see here I am trying to work out the color in the whole page. And I mean, I made the decision keep the garbage truck just white and have the color all around it. The color in the final book changes a little bit, but it's basically. And here are a bunch of different sketches, and you can see that I'm building up the personality of the garbage truck as I do these drawings, and that middle this middle one was very central to my sense of making the garbage truck kind of angry enough to be interesting. Here I'm dealing with this difficult thing of how do I show the interior and the stuff being squeezed. And in the end, I make the truck much smaller to make the compression bigger. So okay. This one I think but
No. It's not like any other you ever used.
I can do that. Okay, all right. I think this one was when I was working out the idea you're on Mount Trashorama. So my first thought was like to have the truck moving through, but then I realized it's much more interesting to have this aerial view of the whole city covered in garbage and the truck sort of leaving the city. And here's the problem. My problem reversed. So anyway, you can kind of see how I'm playing around with different options. Neither Kate or I can remember why I did these pictures, but they are sort of, this is the noise of the garbage truck. This is Kate in fury going down. This is where she's seeing the I come to eat now. This is where the garbage guy is acting what the hell she's doing there. And then I guess this is where they're explaining things. There she is coming back up the bedroom. And here I am considering the face and deciding that it was really and here Kate is fighting, and I'm behind her, my arms crossed, being very impatient. When the hell are you going to get this thing done? And then the angels come and help her to finish it. And here I'm just struggling to draw the thing. And testing out different kinds of things. So it's sort of what happened in the book. And this is a mistake. We just somehow repeated it. And this is in my note saying what I think I could do. This is the sketch of I was very, you know, the character of the truck was pretty good in my mind at this point. And also, I'm using lines which are much darker and more emphatic than I usually use. I mean, I sometimes use them, but here I really went to this emphasis in the blacks that you know I really obviously enjoy doing, but they I think are very fundamental to my style in the book. And this is one of my favorite pages. It's a sketch that comes pretty close to the final. I find in the final, the eyes became white again. I think the roar became even bigger. But I was really, in this book, I was really trying to lines like this, so you know, wiggly, jiggly lines that suggested different operations or smells. And here you can see where I will often work out a part of an illustration in its own sketch, where Kate being at the window watching the thing, and then I put this up. Decide it's got to be at the top. It's got to be at the beginning of the text on that page. And here's where I compressed the truck to go with the idea of compression. So the truck is compressed, what's inside is compressed, everything. And here's the truck, the photograph of the truck, and you can see the hitch for the
In New York City, we don't have snow plows. The garbage trucks get the snow plows that are attached to it.
and it attaches on this thing. It became in my drawing the nose of the garbage truck. And so and then this Kate was saying that this is the unshaven chin of the garbage truck. And here are Eddie and what are their names? Billy and Earl, right? And here Kate is talking.
I said they sound like a country song.
So here, I think this is all. Oh, that's me. Right. So anyway, he's explaining I think the compression of the inside. So it became very important that they gave it. We asked them if they could take us on the garbage truck. They said they couldn't, but we had a car at that point, and so we drove around after them. They really explained each thing that they did. Great. Okay, so we're gonna move on to Papa Song. We don't have an origin story here other than Kate just found this wonderful story in her head. So there's the cover. I just want to say this, that I'm showing two books. In one of them, as I just mentioned, that the lines are very packed and not very sort of contained in a way. There's a lot of pushiness in my drawing. So I wanted to show you another book in which I really got to enjoy, first of all, my love of landscape, but my love of watercolor and, what it can do in a much more gentle sort of way. So this book has that, and it has, for instance, the kind of depth you can get in a watercolor landscape, going back to those trees way back there. So anyway, this was a different kind of book. Here is the title page, and you can see that already my color scheme is very different than it was in Austin. I think I'm gonna have to do it this way. Okay. Baby bear can't go to sleep. I will sing you to sweet baby bear, says Granny Bear. She picks baby bear up and plops down her little rocker and sings baby bear's song. I'm your granny, I know best. Time for little bears to rest. Day is over, evening's here. Go to sleep, my duckling here. Granny Bear sighs a sleepy sigh. No. But baby bear doesn't. Along comes Grandpa Bear I will sing you to sleep, baby bear, said Grandpa Bear. He takes baby bear from Granny Bear and walks to the window and sings baby bear a song. I'm your grandpa, wise and gray. You have had a busy day. Now the moon shines down its light, and it's time to say good night. Grandpa Bear says, good night. But baby bear doesn't. Along comes Mama Bear. I will sing you to sleep, baby bear, says Mama Bear. He takes baby bear from Grandpa Bear and walks him out of the bear cave and sings baby bear a song. I'm your mama, up since dawn. Granny, like a mama bear. How I wish that you were young. Stars are blinking in the skies, telling you to close your eyes. Mama Bear closes her own sleepy eyes. Our baby bear doesn't. My turn, says Papa Bear. He takes baby bear from Mama Bear and carries baby bear out to the bear boat. Papa Bear pulls baby bear down the river. Ripples slap the side of the bear boat. Slop, slop, slop. Three little fish wriggle by and disappear beneath the water. Whoop, whoop, whoop. The frog croaks, chug-a-lum, chug-a-lum. A faraway frog answers, chug-a-lum, chug-a-lum. A pair of otter ducks going home to their den, slide into the river, splish, splash. The duck paddles by, talking softly to itself. Quack, 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 quack. The night owl calls, hoo, hoo, hoo. And the crickets chirp on and on and on. I think this is my favorite illustration in the book. However did you do it? Asked Granny Bear when Papa brings baby bear home. Papa Bear smiles and knew the right song. Then all the bears kissed baby bear and tucked baby bear into a soft, warm bear bed. Dream sweet dreams, baby bear, says Papa Bear. And baby bear friends. I think it's sort of very interesting to me how I struggle with the size of the snout on baby bear. Why wasn't it just obvious that it should be a certain size? But I'm obviously doing that. But I'm having a good time. Most of my drawing, you'll see some that aren't, but most of my drawing are done with a brush in watercolor, which people find sort of unusual. Later, there'll be some pencil, but most of the time, I draw with a brush, and I'm much more comfortable drawing with a brush. I sort of want to somehow feel the accuracy of the shapes and everything more with the brush. Here's a sketch that comes pretty close to what I ended up with. I don't know. There's not a date or this is back up there. It's going to be in Paris. Maybe it's part of the game. Oh yeah, out there you really is part of the game. Anyway, so I tried out different personas. I guess they're always the game. And I'm thinking I could do it with hats. Why he would be wearing hats in his own house. But my mind goes in very odd directions at the sketch stage. Yes, these are pencil drawings. I guess I was trying to get the sort of directional aspects of the bushes and everything in this, and that's sketch for Mama Bear. And here they are, putting baby bear. Oh, here she's getting baby bear out at the beginning of the story, and here, I said, kids are baby bear. So I think that's it. So we have.
Your guys are gonna sit here. We have a few minutes for some questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna stand over your specific page, or if you look up her joke books, it's Katie Hall. I'm assuming that it's Katie Hall. Thank you, Jim. I just want to mention our dean, Lisa German, who said grace, because that brings to mind what is grace? Grace is an unearned gift. And I feel that when we have an opportunity like this to hear an artist describe their process and literally show us your entire career, every time you say sketch and I see these colored paintings, when these materials came to us, I was new enough that I didn't know to walk away from the boxes because time just goes away. And I want to ask you, Jim, about these sketches, because we have these beautiful color sketches. Remember, open access, you can come visit, you can go to the Wallen Center and you can hold these in your hands. Jim, when we received some of these sketches and some of this art and some of this original art and looked on the back sides of it, we saw completely different paintings. We saw men in fedoras and cigars and liquor bottles. Jim, and I had the opportunity, this is the best thing, if you're a living artist, you're on Zoom and you're watching this, give us stuff now so I can pick up the phone and call you and say, what is going on here? So Jim, can you tell us how we can look at one side, it's a full painting of a children's picture book, and then I flip it over and it's these little sketches, these color sketches, completely not having anything to do with the books.
Well,
We still on?
no, is it?
Hold on.
Technology is not my thing.
That's really cool.
Anyway, I've been doing watercolor for a long time.
Can you guys
one
hear
of the really important things to me in watercolor is the paper I'm working on. I'm very sensitive to the different kinds of paper because they really affect the kind of washes you can do and the kind of fusions you can make. Different papers will allow you to do the most extraordinary fusion, whereas other papers won't. So anyway, no good watercolor paper has been made since 1953. It was made in England, I found a place that I knew this because I've been doing watercolors when you could buy beautiful English paper with no problem, but then, for secondly, this paper that had been done in 1953 is no longer in the world. And I on vacation and spent $11,000 for 100 shoots of them. Anyway, so I did the fact that I only had this limited supply, this extraordinary paper, meant that I used one side for one painting and the other side for another painting. So that's why there was that oddness to my sketches.
Well, I'm watching the clock, and I know there may be questions from the audience. Is anyone who sparked in? Oh, over there on that side, we have a mic. Can the mic go and get?
So in the
Wait.
in the Papa story were the words already written and then you did the paintings?
Oh, yeah, Kerlan always writes the story.
All right. But in the first book, I Stink, it seemed like you should have the painting first to get the words, but it didn't work that way.
No. Sometimes when Kate is in the middle of writing the story, we'll talk and I'll do some sketches, just to help, make the character more obvious or, help her in some way. But it's all about Kate's writing, and she was the instigator of everything.
Okay, there's one online and then one in the room. So one from the online audience.
This is a comment and a question. So we have a comment, good job, love Lily. And love Lily. And what inspired you to become an artist? Love your grandson, Arthur.
Because of it, I couldn't play baseball and I couldn't do gymnastics. I had to find something.
Yeah, I see a gentleman there, and then we'll go to the back room. Okay, did you have a question?
Did you ever hear from the New York Sanitation Department?
Well, we had this, I belonged to the Century Club, nice club. And they gave us a big, big event about the publication of ice cream. And we invited them. And man, they showed up with gorgeous suits on. Yeah.
And, do you much know the big garbage cookies? The outfit, she did a whole outfit.
No.
Best do. So much fun.
The sanitation department wasn't so.
No, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, yeah. All right. No, you go.
Well, we took it to, the head of the sanitation department, he said, Kate, Jim, just plug it in his mind. Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
And he said, we don't like that, but look, it looks like it's dripping dirt. It's dripping something on the street, and the garbage truck would never do that. So they did not like it. They did not appreciate it officially.
Oh, and they probably feel like they stunk.
Well, we weren't saying they.
Did we have another question coming around? I see, one in the middle and then one there, and then we're gonna start wrapping it up.
Both these stories.
Wait for the mic, please.
His stories use night as the character for the children, wondering how that fits. You're right, right. Shows the night theme for the kids. And then what challenges did that create for you as an illustrator to have it show us night, but be able to get the detail on it?
No, good question. I'm sorry, I'm hearing
Jen, she wants to know, we chose two books to describe that the two books out of all of your books were night books. And was it a difficulty painting the night or showing darkness and all of that?
I guess I like that. Well, it's fine. You're quite right. I don't think of Papa's Song exactly as a full night book. I was thinking that we start early in the evening when there's still a lot of light, and yes, it does become night. But apparently, it's not a problem. There's a lot of darkness in my book. So I guess I go for darkness. But I'm trying to think like I've got a happy, just bright color book. I probably have for
Well, the Zamboni book is midnight.
Yeah.
That's true.
There you go. I'm gonna take one last question because we're gonna have to wrap things up. And did I see Emily?
Okay, well, you are collaborators. So I'm sure that since you are collaborators, sometimes one person's vision doesn't quite fit what the other person has. What do you work for?
I didn't hear what you said, Emily. How do you work that out?
My response to that is that we're amazingly in tune. I love Kate's writing so much, you know, and I think she loves my art, you know. So we began with a position of mutual adoration for our work. Would you say that?
Yeah, I would say that, and also we're together. It's not like an author is living, you know, in Minnesota, and the illustrator is in New York, and a lot of people only communicate through an editor when they're publishing a book, so they don't really get to talk together. So if Jim and I mean, I'm not really remembering any big fights that we had over it, but if he thinks something's too long or he thinks that's not the right road, he'll just say so.
Yeah, I mean, I often have just sort of editorial to make it stronger or better or whatever, but you know, okay. But the thing is that I'm living with Kate as she's writing, right? So I'm living with the story for a long time. So I'm getting used to it. I'm understanding Kate's sort of primal reasons for doing it, and so I don't ever remember saying, "Juice, I don't want to illustrate this book." Oh, but I will say that one of our earlier books was what was talking about? Oh, the Nosy Giants Tea Party, and that was my idea because I was feeling some anxiety about what was happening on the streets. We lived in a neighborhood that changed a lot over the years, and during that time, it was pretty rough neighborhood. So a lot of strange things were going down on the street, and it you know, it's sort of what it did. And here we have a young daughter, and she, I think, occasionally sort of said, "What was that noise?" and you know, stuff like that. So anyway, I got this idea, and I started to write it and everything. We took it to our editor. He looked at it and he said, "Well, Jim, it's basically a good idea, but let's give it to Kate for about."
It's a nightmare. Jim's idea, because then he did say,
Oh, yeah,
that's not what I was intending. And Michael DiCaprio was our editor, and he wasn't happy either, but we finally rested the book.
I never said that book.
Okay, if you walk into my house and you take a right-hand turn, I still have the poster framed in my house of the Noisy Giants Tea Party. That's how much I love that house. And also, it really just speaks to every New Yorker. You know,
Yeah.
That's what's going on with all those noises in the street. I'm watching the time, and here's what's going to happen next. But there's one last question, and it is Kathy Maranker. So somebody quickly get the mic to her. There we go.
Thank you very much. I have two questions, if I may. One is you're very, very well known and you love to draw the human body. What was it like making a living being out of a garbage truck and inhabiting a bunch of bears? That's question one. And question two is, when and why did you start doing end papers? They're spectacular in the children's books, and they alternate. It's like a quilt pattern a little bit. They alternate dark and light.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Here you go. You've got 2 minutes.
I mean, it just seemed, I thought end papers, how do I make it fit the story? And then I had this idea of how, pattern of the character in the book doing different things, and that became what happened in every book that I made. The other thing is that you push your finger on something. I love the human body, and I've taught drawing for 30 years, what I love is the energy. But I love the energy of the world, and that is central to my creativity. Is trying to find the energy of I mean, if I make drawings of the 4 people sitting here, I would really try to make a distinction between the kind of sitting that's going on and what it does to the top parts of the body. No, it's incredible, and it's a story, and so I'm very critical of artists that can't see the story of the whole body. They keep pulling the body apart and making actually, elbows and things. So anyway, I don't know if I've answered your question, but
It's you turn your lens on different objects and transformative objects is what I'm hearing, according to your love of life. How great is that?
How great is that? That really is today. I want to thank Jim and Kate for coming from New York and visiting us in Minnesota and spending time in the archives today. And what's going to happen is we're going to say thank you. And when we're saying thank you, one of our Kerlan friends will be escorting them to their signing table. Please remain in your seats. I have a couple of announcements, and then I will release you to more snacks and yummy things to eat and books. So, Mary, could you come take our gifts? Thank you.